process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? Look for the signs. Chances are they live in a home and have a car. They use money and enjoy having more of it. They probably drink lots of lemonade. Lemonade. And they've probably said something suspicious like, "I'm bundling with Geico," or "Stop spying on me with those binoculars." If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
Listen. You can't handle the truth.
It's about to go off.
Live from the WNSR Strike and Spare Studios.
Just a bit outside.
It's the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Show me the money!
Call now at 615-844-5600.
Oh, righty then.
Now the McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
And a good Tuesday afternoon to you, and yes, it is time for the McFarland Show here on WNSR. Darren and Justin here with you for the next 2 hours on what is an absolutely gorgeous day.
Chamber of Commerce
Holy moly.
Day.
Can we bottle this up
No.
and save it for every day?
No.
Any chance of that?
No, because we don't live in San Diego. We live in Nashville,
Okay.
where
yeah.
we get 3.5 seasons a year.
Okay, that's fair.
We get a little piece of winter, but not the full winter like they do in some. San Diego, go for it. 78 and sunny every day.
Covering a Chargers-Titans game once at the, what was it?
Jack Murphy Stadium, yeah, the Murph.
Open air press box. That's when you know you're in a nice climate.
Yeah.
Open air.
Yeah.
Don't even have not that they had glass and they slid the glass windows open. No,
There's just no glass.
there was no glass.
Okay.
Yes.
Listen, I'm surprised there's a roof. I'm surprised it was an actual booth to be in.
Well, it didn't feel. I mean, let me tell you, you didn't feel like you were in a booth.
Yeah.
Because those fans were It was open air and
Yeah.
they're right below you,
Yeah.
and it is. At times is like not at times. Anything good happening for the Chargers, it felt like you were sitting in the stands, which, I know a lot of people are like, oh, nobody cares. There were people, you're in there to work. A lot of people, there's a lot of people who are writers and
Absolutely.
they're trying to concentrate and write stories throughout the course of the game. And
yes, they are.
It did make it difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I get a lot of people, boo, oh, poor media.
Yeah, listen.
But it was loud, man. It was
can be
real.
hard trying to write, and
concentrate with people screaming.
6 inches a copy with 70,000 people, screaming. I can see how a few of those guys, who, and we don't talk about this a lot, and we were not going to spend a ton of time on it today. But we ran into some really cool people covering Titans games over the years. Guy like Jarrett Bell from USA Today, who I read for years. And next thing you know, he's sitting right there. I was like, are you serious? This is Jarrett Bell right now writing this thing that I'm getting ready to read tomorrow. Yep. This is super cool. And a few others too. It was really John Feinstein when he would stop by from for all the time. Peter King would be up there, and these guys were up there writing. They were up there working.
Pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so cool to watch and see.
Yeah, John Feinstein's kind of written some pretty popular books over the years.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Or a lot of popular books over the years. Like award-winning books.
Yeah.
Sports books.
Yes.
Yeah, that. We're going to talk to Sean Henry. He is the president and CEO of the Nashville Predators. That's coming up in about 8 minutes or so. So we will catch up with Sean and find out 24 hours removed from yesterday how it all feels now that the dust has settled. So we'll talk to Sean at that. We'll catch up with Steve Lehman from News Channel 5 in about an hour or so. Combine going on in Indianapolis.
Yes.
So lots going on here, and it is that time of year where you're going to now start hearing lots of stuff from the Combine, including new Titans GM speaking today. In fact, I think he's already spoken.
I was checking for it earlier, and I haven't seen
anything.
it. So I was looking for it myself about an hour ago and had not seen it.
And I think Mike Vrabel is set to talk here. In fact, we need to put one of these TVs, Devlin, on NFL Network because they're doing wall-to-wall coverage. And I think Mike Vrabel is set to talk sometime this afternoon. And I know Tim Kelly is there. So this is a day where you're going to hear a lot of the Titans coaches and new GM talking as the Combine is getting ready to kick off there at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is the last day of February. Oh, we don't. Okay, yeah, all right, my bad.
Okay, we do actually have the Rand Carthorne did speak less than an hour ago, so it just happened. He spoke for about 17 minutes, and Devlin's on their Twitter page, by the way.
All right, so we'll get into that a little bit. Yeah, we'll hear a little bit. We'll check in on that in a little bit. So the Combine is getting ready to get cranked up. Tomorrow will be March, and so for the next week or so, all the NFL folks will be in Indianapolis attending the underwear party.
And maybe for the last time. So we'll see.
See, I don't believe that. I really don't. I would be floored. Absolutely floored. So we never got into this.
No, we didn't.
When you brought it up.
Today is an appropriate day.
It is an appropriate day because the Combine, you're going to see tons of Combine coverage for the next 7 days. Where did that come from? Where did that start? Do you know where it started?
I do not know the publication. It came from someone reputable. It was not just some random podcast thing I saw on Twitter that it came from. Someone with some juice or who would know said something to the effect that the NFL was thinking about it. Now, it didn't say that they were making a definite move towards ending the Combine like immediately. Obviously, the owners will have to vote on things and things like that, but it definitely sounded like they were at the very least thinking about finding another way to do the Combine or just stopping to do it all together.
Okay.
And I can look it up to see exactly who.
So, again, I'm just posing things to you. You're not the one. You're not the originator of this getting out there, but we're doing a talk show. So you're the person I can talk to. So I've got to talk to you, okay?
Well, that's fine. I'm here.
And you may not have the answers, but you have grown this thing into this behemoth thing, okay? It used to be just you didn't get all this coverage. Now they let fans. I mean, it's crazy. Like now the Combine is an event. It is an absolute event. And now you can watch it. You know everything about the Combine. So you've built it to this huge event now. Why would you get rid of it? Well, it doesn't make any sense. They get tons of attention for the next 7 days on this product.
It doesn't make sense to end it. That is for sure. Here he is. Okay, from ESPN.com. It was the president of the Players Association, the executive director of the Players Association. This is dated February the 8th. It says that Demarius Smith wants to get rid of the NFL Combine. He said on Wednesday during the Players Association annual Super Bowl news conference. Smith shared his desire to abolish the Combine and instead establish regional pro days, potentially put on by the NFLPA. The response came after he was asked about the NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operation Troy Vinson comparing the Combine to a slave auction during some league meetings back in December. So I could read on, but that is where it came from.
Okay.
So, those are people who, that's more than a no. That's on the record there. If you're talking about the Super Bowl press conference, it's tough to get more on the record than that. So
would I like to see them refine some things? Yes, but to get rid of it would be absolutely asinine, in my opinion. Absolutely asinine. And it would be ridiculous by the way, the Players Association, it's people that aren't a part of the Players Association yet. It's not members of the Players Association. Why would the PA be weighing in on something members that are not their members yet?
Because and this is just what I'm reading into it.
Yeah.
Is that they will be players and they are getting a head start in representing them. This is still a player related type of operation. it is not strictly an owner or front office operation. There are players involved. So in their minds, listen, if the player, and maybe they look at it this way, if a player has declared himself draft eligible, therefore we are here to make sure that his interests are represented here. Okay. Because if not, then who else is going to do it?
Yeah. Well, that would be a huge mistake. Players, it's Valentine's Day. I know we just had Valentine's Day, but it's Valentine's Day 2 weeks later. No, yeah, okay. Well, no, don't freak out. You're okay. Cool. That was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But it's recreated in Indianapolis. This is where GMs and teams fall back in love. They fall in love, Justin.
Yeah.
They fall in love with people.
They do.
This is where people soar up boards and make lots of money.
They can.
From this party in Indianapolis.
But is it possible for them to fall in love regionally? So they can fall in love in Minneapolis one weekend, then go to Atlanta and fall in love at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, then go out to SoFi and fall in love at the West Coast Combine, then perhaps, go up to, some random place we can find in the Northeast that has good weather this time of the year and fall in love up there. Why do they have to fall in love in Indianapolis?
I just don't need that many Valentine's Days. We just don't.
Now, that is my one thing about this. If you did separate it into regional pro days, that's a lot of travel all of a sudden when you just used to have to go to one place.
Right.
Now you're going to 8 or 4 or that's 5. Right. Why?
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk to Sean Henry, President and CEO of the Nashville Predators. We'll do that next here on the McFarland Show, Nashville Sports Radio.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all areas. Actual Pi customer.
The other workers' comp insurance company, they were going to reclassify our business, and then they were going to charge me $50,000.
Meet Natalie, owner of the carpentry shop. Shocked by an unexpected bill, she knew it was time to switch her workers' comp provider. That's when she found Pi Insurance.
When we got the quote back from Pi, it was a sigh of relief. They put us in a policy where we fit.
Is your small business overpaying for workers' comp insurance? See how much you could save at iwantpi.com. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified.
I'm grateful that there's a company out there that's willing to insure us little guys because every dollar counts.
With Pi Insurance, you get pricing and coverage made for small businesses. What are you waiting for? Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote in 3 minutes at iwantpi.com. That's iwantpie.com.
Bundling home and car insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? They may drop little hints like,
beautiful day out. Even more beautiful since we saved by bundling our home and car insurance with Geico.
Or,
yard work is hard. Much harder than bundling with Geico, which was easy.
Or it may be even subtler, like,
speaking of burgers, we bundled our home and car insurance with Geico and saved a bunch of money.
Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
In uncertain times, you can be certain of this. The Salvation Army is serving those most in need with help and hope. Thanks to your donations, the Salvation Army is helping those affected by COVID-19, those who've lost wages, who have no home to retreat to, who need food, help with utilities, and most of all, hope. To see how you can continue to make a difference, visit GiveWestwood.org. GiveWestwood.org.
Hey, Nashville, start your day the right way with Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel. Bongo Java is Nashville's oldest local coffee company. Get your day started with a freshly baked muffin and wash it down with a hot cup of dark roast or hair of the dog blend. With free Wi-Fi, you can get some work done while enjoying a toasted breakfast sandwich. Beat the traffic. Treat yourself at Bongo Java Cafe, located in the lobby of the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown Music City.
Jacob the Electrician is on the air saluting the brave men and women of our U.S. military. Their tireless efforts shall never go unnoticed. This proud salute is brought to you by Jacob the Electrician, providing quality service and pride. Give Jacob the Electrician a call today at 615-582-3452. That's 615-582-3542. Jacob the Electrician, on the air saluting our troops and veterans. They're professionals who care.
It's It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
I'm not saying like Derrick Henry's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be able to tote the rock 330 times in a season. He did lose a half step. He was getting caught in that second level. And you saw the fumbling. If that's what their plan is, we're just going to go in again on Derrick Henry and figure this out. It just seems like the definition of insanity to me.
The afternoon stretch. Afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
You're listening live from the Strike and Spare Studios, downtown Music City. It's the McFarland Show.
Thank you, Big Voice Guy. Back here on the McFarland Show, Darren and Justin here with you. We're live, Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. By the way, you can watch us live every day, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We try to dress up for you, shower, sometimes shave. We try.
Yeah, man.
Before we get to our next guest, the worst-kept secret in hockey has finally been made official. Patrick Kane has been shipped to the Rangers. So he is out of the Preds division and now in the Eastern Conference. But like I said, I feel like that trade has happened 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
But now it's official.
A lot of people were convinced, like, oh, it happened yesterday. Didn't know.
No, not yet. Not yet. All right, let's bring in Sean Henry, President and CEO of the Nashville Predators. It has been quite a 24-hour period for them. They'll back on the ice to close out the month of February tonight at Bridgestone Arena, hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins. Boo. Sean, what's going on?
Not much, man. Pretty quiet weekend for us.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Man, I saw you were feeding grapes to Barry Trotz. Was that in your kitchen or was that David's kitchen? Where was that?
Can't tell you.
Oh, wow.
That was in. We were using David's kitchen as a meeting place for the past, 8 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And it's great. You roll in, and David has fruit waiting for you, always has chocolate, always has good waters. But you know what he doesn't have? He's not a coffee guy, and I am.
Oh.
So, there's no coffee in the house. So we got to work on that. Hopefully Barry's a better barista than David. Barrister.
I think he is. He's
a coffee guy.
Yeah, I think he's a coffee. Yeah. Coaches are coffee guys. And so with that being said, Sean, so just I'm trying to do the timeline. What was your window here with Barry as the head coach? What, about 2 to 3 years? Is that right?
I think 4 years.
4 years?
Here in,
okay.
2010, so we made the playoffs in 10 and 11. We missed them in 12 and 13, and so 4 seasons, I think.
So 4 seasons. So how much did you truly get to know Barry? You know, you were you were coming here from Tampa, and 4 years is a long time. I get it, but like, how close were you able to get to Barry at that time when he was the coach?
Well, Barry's one of those guys that you walk away from as his best friend.
Yeah.
You think, right? I mean, he ingratiates himself with you so quickly. And his wife was so involved in so many different organizations that me and my wife were a part of. And then she was on our foundation board, so I got to know them, pretty well. We have a lot of mutual friends as well. And then my wife served on the Best Buddies, like special events board or something. So yeah, we got to know them really, really well. And then we spent a lot of time together over the past 8 or 9 years with stops in D.C., coming back here, and us going there, and the island. And we probably used to talk, 2 or 3 times a year. But he's just a special man. Like, whether you worked with him for 1 game or 4 years or for almost 40 years like David, you get close to him pretty quickly because he makes it a point to get close to people and get to know them and make you feel special. He really does, and that's why he's so successful on the ice, and he's so successful in every facet of his life.
No doubt about it. So what was yesterday, and what's this whole experience been like for you personally?
You know what? I've always said this. Working with David has been the best part of my career. I've been there 13 years and been part of a lot of really fun organizations, good organizations, some incredible GMs over the time, and some not so incredible. So I have a pretty good yardstick of how to measure them. But I had to throw that yardstick away. I always wanted to work with David, for 10, 15 years before I got here. You'd see him at meetings. You'd see how the room revolved around him. Being around David's incredible because he loves our game so much. He just loves the game, and he wants to caretake the game. Then that translates to our team, but the game first. And it's fun working with someone like that. But just in true Poyle fashion, I mean, Poyles are planners. 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago, it was, all right, what should the succession look like? What do we need to do as an organization to be ready for David to retire? And, there's a lot of investments that we made. And, at the time we had one AGM, that was Paul Fenton. And when he got promoted and became a GM in Minnesota, it was, all right, let's look at our roster of young guys that we have. And, now we have 3 AGMs, all will be GMs. We looked at our scouting department, added to that by, 4 or 5 different, people, changed out a few guys that retired, a complete investment in data analytics, but not all at once. It's another body every year. It's another set of software. It's another way to look at things. Our video coaching is the model for the league, or was, and we improved upon that. And we have repetition for what we do here down in Milwaukee. Strength and conditioning, one of the few teams with multiple full-time strength and conditioning guys in your minor league system. Our mental health is as important as a physical health. So we went out and hired, full-time our employees, doctors in that space as well. So it was just I can go right on down the list of, probably an extra 20, 25 different bodies, millions of dollars of software and equipment and systems. And it was, probably, mid-season last year into the draft window, where it's like, I just feel comfortable that, next year could and should be it. And then you start talking, okay, well, what does our search look like? We've talked about quite a bit. You saw a few other searches happening at the same time. Some things you liked what they did. Some things you probably want to do differently, maybe different time of year, maybe start in November or January, or you wait till the end of the season. And then, a guy that we've long admired, and David always said Barry Trotz would make a great GM if he ever stopped coaching. It's just something we always talked about, because he would. He's done it all in our game. And Barry literally passed every job up this summer. He was offered every single job that was open. I think he was offered a few jobs that weren't open in great candor. And you were talking about, an amazing amount of money, an amazing amount of control, and the type of teams he could have gone to. So every time he passed on an opportunity, we look at each other or call each other and say, my gosh, what if he doesn't coach? And that quickly turned into Thanksgiving, 1st of December, and it was around that time, around the holidays, give or take, that Barry literally reached out to David and said, I want to throw my hat in the ring. And, David called me up, and to say he was giddy would probably be a slight exaggeration, but he was pretty giddy. And it was, all right, he got a hold of Lou Lamoriello with the Islanders, who's just another guy like David who loves the game, loves the people, loves seeing people move on and do well. And, of course, he granted us permission. And then we started doing interviews, with, Bill Haslam was part of it, Herb Fritz was part of it, I was part of it. And we each probably met with them alone 2 or 3 times, met with them as a group 2 or 3 times, met with 2 of us or 3 of us a few different times. And it was natural. Like, there was no negotiation. It was, this should happen after we all talked to him and you realize how good he's going to be in this role, just like he was in the other. So that's kind of the timeline as best as I recall it. And I'll deny any facts that are wrong.
Well, I want to go to something you just said that I was drawn to. What you said, David always thought Barry would be a good GM. Mm-hmm. And, the first thing, I talk to a lot of the fans via social media, whatever, feedback. You get lots of feedback. The first thing they're going to say is, a lot of the feedback already is great, but how do we know if Barry's going to be a good GM? So I'm really drawn to why David felt that compelled for a guy that's been a coach his whole life, why he would be a great GM.
Well, a couple of things. Someone had to eat the clam first. Someone had to drink from a cow to get milk, right? Mm-hmm. So first things happen from time to time. And it makes me laugh. Everyone's like, well, how do we know? Well, Scotty Bowman wasn't a head coach until he was, and he was a great one. But Barry was not always a coach. Barry was a scout, for a long time. Got promoted twice in the Capitals organization when David was the GM. He got cut as a player, went and became a college coach. He was younger than most of the guys on the team. And then he was offered a scouting position, I think a part-time position initially with Washington, then got promoted to a full-time scout. Then he got offered the job out in Vancouver as the full overseeing Western Canada, for them, and then came back to the East Coast as an assistant coach for Baltimore, and then the head coach in Baltimore. Then they moved to Maine, won a championship there. When David came here, he hired him a year earlier to be our pro scout and our eventual head coach. So our pro scouts were Paul Gardner, Barry Trotz, and David Poyle.
Crazy.
And they're the ones that kind of put it all together. And the way David involves, people in the organization, he wasn't just a coach. He was in every draft planning meeting, every free agent meeting, every planning session, pro scouts, amateur scouts, all those meetings was involved all summer long, as opposed to, going back to a cottage and playing golf. And when he moved on and went to Washington, you had a first-year GM that hired him. So if you talk to Todd, he would tell you he relied on Barry for so many things, and how camp was organized. What do you do with rookie camp, prospect camp, things that normally the coach doesn't get involved in. And then when he left there and went to New York, he got a chance to work with Lou Lamoriello, one of the very, very best at that position ever as a GM. So you get a chance to see people, learn from people, see what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And like all of us, that's how you're trained. I mean, your first show, when you flipped on the air, it wasn't just you went in cold. You were prepared for it. You were ready for it. You had to learn a lot more, but you also probably watched some other people and how they did it, and you took advantage of every small opportunity to get you a little bit more ready.
Giving us a lot of credit there, Sean.
Yeah, I would not want to listen to that first tape. I would never want to listen to that first
show. A lot of credit there, sir. Whole lot of credit. And we'll appreciate it. We'll take it. That's exactly what happened there, sir. Exactly.
You know what I learned, Sean, yesterday? If David does want to do something, by the way, we're speaking with Sean Henry, president and CEO of the Preds, at President, get it, on Twitter. Give him a follow. He's a fun follow. He loves your feedback, too. He loves your questions. Reach out to him.
I do.
I know. You're visible. You're a visible guy, man. You're not closed door, dude.
That is true.
I learned that if David wants to do something outside of hockey ever, which is all he's done his whole life, he should maybe be in like a rom-com. He's a romantic guy. He was making us laugh. He had jokes. He should be in a rom-com.
You sound like a movie critic on David Poyle's life. He made me laugh, made me cry, made me feel. But it's true. I mean, he really is. He's kind of a Renaissance guy. I mean, he has a lot of passions. We've gotten to see him really bring two to life to date, and that's this team and his family. So it was really nice to be able to celebrate David yesterday and see all those things come out in him that maybe not, the normal fan doesn't get to see every day. You know him a little bit better, so you know his relationship with his wife and his kids and his grandkids and really everyone in the organization. I mean, he's a special man.
Sean, reading an article here from the Associated Press, and it's dated April the 14th of 2014. That was the day that the Nashville Predators let go of Barry Trotz as the head coach. Fourth paragraph down, it says, Trotz's contract was set to expire on June 30th. The Predators offered him a job in their hockey operations department. I know it was 9 years ago. Do you remember doing that? And if so, what path was that putting Mr. Trotz on at that particular time?
Well, we weren't sure what he wanted to do. We were going to replace him as a coach. His contract was up, but he did so many things for Nashville, for Smashville, for this organization, that it was, well, let's keep him on. If he wants to stay on in a different role, in a management role, let's just keep him here. If he chooses not to coach or if he doesn't get the job he wants right away. And we were, happy for him that he got the job he did in Washington. But if it went another 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or 2 years, we would have been better off as an organization. That's how highly we all thought of him as a front office person in hockey operations. It was 9 years ago that he had a contract for it, but his passion at the time was to coach still. And I'm glad he kept coaching because he went from being the most successful expansion coach in the history of the game to one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game. I think he's third all-time in wins, has a cup. Look what he did with the Islanders after they lost their star player, put him in the conference finals 2 or 3 times. I mean, Barry's an exceptional coach. I'm just so glad that he wants to try something different now because it means we get to work with him again.
All right, Sean, I want to talk to you about a couple things away from the GM situation here. I have this theory, and you can tell me how right or wrong I am about this, that you and the Tennessee Titans, the Predators, when I say you, not you personally, Sean, but the Nashville Predators and the Tennessee Titans have a great relationship, but it's also a quiet rivalry as well, as both of you have talked openly about winning a championship. And I would guess, Sean Henry, that you wouldn't be mad if the Predators were able to get the cup here before the Titans were able to get the Lombardi here. How closely do you guys watch each other? How is that relationship, being that you guys are the two bigger franchises in town when it comes to fan base and attention?
So there's no rivalry. I'm probably the biggest Titans fan you know. Someday I hope to see the Giants play the Titans Super Bowl, and then maybe I'll have a tough choice who to root for. But when they're playing well, it helps us. When we're playing well, it helps them. When Nashville SC is playing well, it helps both of us. I really am that rising tide guy. And I'll tell you right now, of course I want to win a Stanley Cup before they win one or Nashville SC does, because ours is next. But if we don't win it this June, I really hope Nashville SC wins the first championship, because theirs is next. If they don't win it, I really hope the Titans bring home the Parcells Trophy, or what's it called again?
It's the Lombardi. Vince Lombardi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, I get confused between great coaches. But if they don't win in January, then I go recycle it. So whoever's up next, that's who I want to win. But we all want the same thing. We all want to win. But Ian with soccer and Burke and myself, we enjoy a really nice relationship, and we can call each other from time to time for favors, to pick each other's brains. It's a pretty easy job we all have, but really only the three of us can talk to each other about it. But I run into Burke everywhere. We were at the CPA Father Ryan basketball game the other night. Father Ryan won, fortunately. He was not as happy. I run into him at the dump all the time. The dump is the center point from both our houses, grocery store. Same thing. Ian lived across the street from me. I mean, the three of us, we really are, we're friends. I don't see each other a whole lot because we work so much, but I go to a handful of Titans games a year. Bert comes over here quite a bit. Ian does too. And I missed soccer this past weekend, but I'll be there a few times. I will confess, on Memorial Day, I'll be going to the game, but I'm going to be rooting for the Columbus Crew over our Nashville SC.
Wow. All right.
My son works for them. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what's your legion there?
Let him get to the punchline.
Okay.
Yeah. Family first.
Family first. Very good. Yeah. I know you guys made some changes as far as the concessions and food. You guys had a big rollout. How has that gone? Both good and bad here. Come on, Sean. Was everything a hit, or was there a couple things? You don't have to name it, but it's like, maybe we want to roll with that next year as far as the food is concerned.
Well, if you don't roll out a menu item that is a stinker every year, it just means you're not rolling out enough new ones. I'd say with everything. So now this was a fun year because it was the first kind of normal off season, going into a season without any protocols, without having to change everything we do every single day. So kind of recommitted to what we always do, and that's make a lot of investments. Every month there's something new. And one of the better things that we just did this year is you can order from your seat on your phone and go pick up your food anywhere in the building, so you never have to wait in line. We have the Just Walk Out stands. We work closely with Amazon on the technology. So you have two concession stands that you just walk in, wave your hand over a reader, walk in, grab anything you want, you walk right out, and it automatically charges your credit card. And that's a great set of technology, but we can't have season ticket holder discounts in that technology yet. So that's one of those ones where we have some work to do to work those kinks out, because the technology is incredible. I could see us having 4 or 5 more of those coming up. But there are so many new things. My favorite thing in the whole building, if you haven't seen it yet, is, and I don't like the item myself, but the cotton candy robot. It makes the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen in my life. So, Darren, I know your son's getting a little old for cotton candy, but none of us are too old. Next time he's at a game, throw a few dollars in that. And
what section is that, Sean?
I'll
look for that.
The people who are watching right now, and Justin seeing me shaking my head, I'm sitting there as you said that, Sean, going, how did I escape that this season when Maddox was in tow? I have no clue how we missed that.
Where is that, Sean?
Grab your dad's credit card, Maddox. They are all over the building. I think we have 2 on the 100 level and 2 on the upper concourse, and literally we move them around every 5th event or so, just to keep it moving and keep things fun. And that's part of what we do. You don't want the building to look like wallpaper that you get used to. You want to change things up, move some things around, move some menu items around. Where do you give your giveaways around? You want people wandering the building and not just, going the same way you always do.
You know what? One place we cannot escape ever when he goes. It's the stand that's got the the Doritos and the chicken and the queso in the bag.
Walking tacos.
Oh my gosh, he will. I mean, I'm like, dude, the game has started. He has got to have that, Sean. We cannot escape that one.
Like your son's age, he's probably a walking garbage disposal right now, right? He's 9,000 calories a game. It doesn't matter. You can go from a walking taco to cotton candy to ice cream to a pretzel to a steak and not get filled up.
It's so funny you said that because the last game we went to, I think it was the Vegas game. It was just me and him. It was the first time me and him have ever been to a game together, just the two of us. It was coming right out of the break. And the guy asked me, do you want one too? And I said, no, absolutely not. And I said, don't take that as an insult. Like, I would love to chow on one of these things, but, man, I'd have to walk home. Like, there's no way at my age I'm eating that. So we laughed about it.
It's not going to make it.
Yeah, not going to make it.
Yeah, Sean, last but not least, I wanted to ask you about a very ambitious project you took on a couple of years ago, and that is trying to bring hockey to Tennessee State University. I was actually somewhere and I saw a TSU hockey jersey for sale in some store I was in. I took a picture of it. I was like, I wasn't in a position to buy it at that particular moment, but I know you've been talking about it. You guys organized a fundraiser. Where are you guys on trying to get that going?
By the way, the TSU band was there that night for that Vegas game, being honored after the
Grammy wins.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, so we try to partner with every college in the community. Tonight might even be Auburn night. I forget what it is. Western Kentucky. Auburn is next week. Sorry, Darren. I know near and dear that is to your heart. But TSU is special because right before the pandemic started, they came to us to ask us to raise $1 million for them to keep kids in college that are leaving over $400, $500, $600, $700, and we jumped at it on one condition. We said we'll do this only if we can continue to work together on bigger things. We want your interns. We want to tap into your talent pool. We want TSU alumni to sit in my chair someday. And they jumped all over it. They're so energetic to work with. And then Dr. Alan Glover came to us and said, "What do you guys think about starting a Division I men and women's ice hockey program? We'd be the first ever HBCU to do so." And the answer is yes. How do we do it? And our league was so dedicated to. They jumped all over it. They spent a fair amount of money on doing a lot of feasibility studies. What would it really cost? What do we have to do from a facility standpoint? At the same time, parallel paths, their athletic department in college as a whole are doing feasibility studies on what investment do they need, for the football stadium, the track field, what else is needed to move them forward in different aspects. So it's not only going to be hockey. How do we approach it together to make TSU the envy of the sports world, as they were really when Ed Temple did the impossible and built a program out of scratch and literally built the track by hand himself. When he started that, people said it couldn't be done. When we said we were going to do this together, people said it couldn't be done. And I can't wait for it to get done. It won't be this year, it won't be next year, but we're going to take steps each and every year. And ideally, 2 or 3, 4, 5 years from now, we're all sitting in a facility watching TSU play hockey.
Yeah, and PK Subban will be their first coach. There you go. You just heard it here first.
Well,
Eddie George will be the football coach. PK will be the hockey coach.
You never know.
Small world. A young man that used to teach our youth hockey in Tampa, his mother is Dr. Glover's mentor, I think from Spielman College. She was the president there. And he was the first guy to reach out. He said, "I'm the coach. I want the job now." And he's a coach right now up in Minnesota.
Okay.
So it is funny how you garner some attention quickly from all points across the country, because I think we can pull a lot of people together to make this happen. This is a lot bigger than just Nashville or TSU or the state of Tennessee. A lot of people want to see this happen. And if we're successful in doing it, it'll be one of the bigger things to ever happen to hockey.
It's a very ambitious thing to even take on, Sean. So good luck with that. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, thank you. You're part of it now. Jersey, man.
Last thing, Sean, as we wrap this up, did Bill Wickett have pictures, on the Lightning? Like, I like Tanner Jeannot, and I hated to see him go, but I mean, they kind of, that haul was pretty amazing haul for Tanner Jeannot. It has the hockey world buzzing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, every time you trade a player, you want to be sad about it. You want your fans to be sad about it because it just means they connected with everyone in the building, all the fan base. And if someone else wants them, it means they're also doing something right on the ice. And that's what Darren was. I mean, he's just such a wonderful player for us. But yeah, what we got back, from Tampa, we were pretty pleased with. Obviously, when you look at what other people are saying, they're pretty pleased with it too. So it's always hard to lose a player like that. It's the worst part of our game. You get to know these guys and their families, and they get attachments to different organizations and the fans. And unfortunately, it's what pushes you forward. So yeah, we were pretty pleased with it. But it was fun watching Bill's phone. And our new vice president of marketing came from Tampa as well. The two of them were getting beat up by a lot of people. On one hand, on the other, they were getting a lot of texts and emails saying, "Oh my gosh, we love this guy. He's going to be great for us," and he will be. I mean, he's going to shine there, and that's what you want. You want every player that you used to have to do really well in a new setting. And it's funny, like every time he scores, some fan will text me. He's like, "Why'd you get rid of him?" Or Eli told him when he scores, "Hey, dummy, why'd you get rid of him?" It's like you want him to do well, period. And I think it's the most fun part about what we all do. You get to see young men excel, ideally here, but if not here, in other places.
No doubt. Sean, appreciate the visit. It'll be a fun night tonight to close out the month of February, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I'll see you guys in front of the walking taco stand as we go over to the cotton candy robot.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep. All right, Sean. Thank you, Sean Henry, President and CEO of the Preds. I'm telling you, and by the way, that was a good way to describe my son. He is a garbage disposal right now.
A walking garbage disposal.
At 11 years old. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. Come back. 615-844-5600. Wide open the rest of the hour. More of the McFarland Show next.
Welcome to Smashville, home of your Nashville Predators. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Tuesday, February 21st for College Night with the University of Alabama as your Nashville Predators take on the Vancouver Canucks. Purchase your College Night tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/College Nights. That's NashvillePredators.com/College Nights for a Preds and Alabama co-branded hats. And don't miss February 28th as your Nashville Predators take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Secure tickets at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds!
Hey, you know it's a leap year, right?
No, the next leap year isn't until 2024.
Nope, it's this year. I can prove it. Here, play this new instant game from the Tennessee Lottery.
Okay. Woohoo! I won!
See what you did there?
I jumped up and down?
No, that was a leap.
Don't miss your chance to jump for joy this February with our newest instant games. You could win up to $5 million. The Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
And now, some big news from WINN. The new February instant games from the Tennessee Lottery have arrived. Now, for some bigger news, there are 4 new exciting games to choose from. And now, for our biggest news yet, you could win a top prize of $5 million.
Make a break for fun today with February Instant Games, only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
With 13 locations nationally, including Smyrna, Star Leasing Company is a semi-trailer one-stop shop and the perfect place to build a career as a semi-trailer mechanic. Seeking candidates with all levels of experience, Star Leasing Company has a semi-trailer technician trainee program with sign-on and quarterly bonuses and other opportunities such as $1,000 for having a yearly physical. Package also includes 401k with company match, health, dental, and vision insurance, competitive pay with weekly paychecks, and paid holidays and time off. Star Leasing Company, not your typical semi-trailer leasing company. It's starleasing.com to learn more.
Five-state forecast. Your exclusive national sports radio, WNSR Sky Scan forecast. Today's going to be sunny with a high of 72. It'll be partly cloudy tonight, low 52. Wednesday, sunny to partly cloudy with a stray afternoon shower or thunderstorm. Temperatures near 80. Utilizing the resources of the WeatherBug Network on National Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's meteorologist, Jim Rinaldi.
Sports Radio WNSR.
You know, it's never too late to start feeling some March Madness. Be sure not to miss out on all the action. The Ohio Valley Conference Basketball Championship, presented by United Fidelity Bank, as they return to Ford Center in downtown Evansville from March 1st through the 4th as the first weekend of entries into the NCAA basketball tournaments are crowned. All session tickets and single-game tickets are on sale through each OVC school ticket office, Ticketmaster.com, and the Ford Center box office. Visit OVCsports.com/Evansville for more details and be there to OVC it in person.
The McFarland Show. Video streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube from the Strike and Spare studio.
Well, it is trade week. Did you hear me when I said that? This thing's really low.
Yeah, no, I heard you loud and clear. You're on, Darren. You're on.
Okay, I just found my...
Yeah, you got to find your...
Yeah, I have to adjust.
Darren, switch headphones.
Because I was like, oh, I can't hear...
Yeah.
I don't
know
if I'm on or not.
No, you got to do your thing.
Right.
I got you.
Take two. Ready? Action. Minnesota Wild have acquired Marcus Johansson from the Capitals. So
Okay.
it is trade week.
All right.
The deadline is Friday.
All right.
For the NHL. So still active. We told you Patrick Kane, that deal is a done deal.
Finally.
To the Rangers. The Rangers have traded for Tarasenko and Patrick Kane.
Okay.
Two players out of the Predators division. Two huge names in the sport. So we'll see. The Eastern Conference, by the way, is just stupid.
I mean, they got to do something.
It's stupid.
If you're going to deal with Boston, you got to do something.
Well, I know, but everybody. That's honestly for the more, if there's more
big
work to be
picture-wise
done
for the Rangers, I mean, that's where it's at. It's Boston. They got to do something.
Well, you've seen the Lightning. So the Rangers have been very active. The Lightning obviously traded for Tanner Jeannot. It's like right now all the moves are in the Eastern Conference, and you wonder who else. Is Carolina going to be active?
Well,
Pittsburgh going to do anything?
If they want to take a run at Boston, they may have to do something more than what they're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who wants to take a run at Boston, it's clear at this point that whatever you've been doing isn't working. Isn't working against Boston. So if you really want to take a shot at them in the playoffs to take them down, it will behoove you to start, making some moves to better your roster. If not, you're going to be looking at, 4-1, 4-0 real fast in the upcoming playoffs.
By the way, the Pittsburgh is right there, just in.
Yeah, they're just in the bottom.
So the point is, they're the longest running team of going to the playoffs consecutively in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in danger this year. I mean, I know they're currently in, but there's they've got 23 games left. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. Now, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Nate. Nate, you're up first. Welcome in.
What's up, guys? It totally slipped my mind yesterday because of the GM news with the Preds. Doesn't Tampa have a good amount of physical players? And the reason I say this is because they traded for Jeannot, and he's known for his physicality. But I thought Tampa was pretty, well versed in the physical part.
I don't know. I mean, they got a whole lot of skill, as we know. I mean, Victor Hedman's 7'8" as a defenseman, so he doesn't take any crap. I mean, they got guys on there that don't take any crap, but I wouldn't put them if I was, give me some physical teams in the league. I mean, it'd be a bit before I got to Tampa. And I'm not saying that they're soft, but I mean, I wouldn't put them why would they want another, guy that brings physicality to the table? I wouldn't put Tampa in that category. I mean, they're about, speed and skill.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know they have a lot of speed and skill. For some reason, I just thought they had a good amount of physicality too. With the Preds, I'm going to call it a quote-unquote trading with the Flyers. What are we doing still using the future considerations term? I mean, can we not just say, hey, the Flyers are giving Nashville this player? Because how often do future considerations actually come about?
It's a decent question. What do future for those of you who can't quite pick up Nate, future considerations, what do future considerations end up turning into, after the future is considered?
That's what I'm saying. Why do we keep still using this term? Do we really hear all that often in the future about a team going back and paying this X team for the player they got or for draft picks they got? Because future considerations just seems like a fancy way of saying, here's a player, go away.
Well, because it is. I mean, it is. And they're just it's not really meant to, it's not a splash item. It's just that they will get something in the future. They need to hash out what that is, and more than likely, it'll probably be just a body that they'll throw in the AHL or whatever. And, because, by the way, you do have to field a roster there. And with a lot of teams and like what the Predators are doing right now, they're going to start pulling, Evangelista is going to play tonight. So, he's going to be in the lineup. And so you start pulling from your pipeline. Well, you do have to replenish. They have to field a roster. And so that's what happens a lot of times.
And quickly, about Nashville SC, I really don't see myself going to a Nashville SC game unless I'm going with someone who is going to basically drive me, and I know where I'm going to be parking and how long the walk might be. This parking situation with Nashville SC just continues to baffle me. Like, when are they going to get it figured out?
I know it's a great question.
It shouldn't be baffling. They never had a parking plan to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
it's true. That really is the unfortunate truth to your question is, we've gone to enough games now, and it sucks. Just be honest. There's no easy solution. Now, we've tried a bunch of different ways to skin the parking cat, and all of them you better have your walking shoes on because you're going to be trucking up and down hills. That's another thing because it's built up on a hill. So you're going to be, going up and down, and it's just it is odd to build the largest soccer-only stadium in North America, and you don't have a parking garage.
Wow.
Well, not only that, it's not even close to, like, downtown where you could park in all these different structures and potentially on the street if you can find the little parking that's left on the street. And, they have neighbors who are, I guess you could say, nice enough to allow fans to park in their front yards for a price, and I've seen that the price is pretty up there. So I don't know. I just don't see myself going to a game until I have a better understanding of parking. I don't want my car to get towed or broken into if I'm parking somewhere that I don't really know.
I haven't heard of any of that, but I'm not also going to pretend that I know for sure. I think if it was a huge issue, probably Justin will be reporting on it in the mornings on Fox 17.
And we do, and we have, and
okay.
It is.
So it is a huge...
Oh boy, we've done multiple stories, without question.
The break-ins during games?
Oh, you mean about break-ins? I'm sorry, I missed that part. I thought you were just talking about the parking issue.
No, I'm talking about parking.
The crime in
everybody's just parking in neighborhoods or
the crime.
Gas stations that are closed or businesses that are closed.
People are parking wherever.
Wherever, right.
Yeah, they built 5,000 parking spots for a 30,000-seat stadium. That's what they did. That's the math.
You're talking about the ones they currently, like those gravel lots? Is that the ones you're talking about?
Well, yes, because they also share those with the.
I was going to say they share. That's a shared thing.
They share that with the folks down at the fair, not the fairgrounds, but the people who sell the arts and crafts down there. They share it with them.
But you have to have a pass to get those.
Yeah.
You can't just pull in and hand somebody a $20 bill and pull in and park.
No, that is correct. That is correct. Yeah. So, you have to share that with them, and it's a special package and all that. From what I've heard, the best way to go to Nashville SC is to take an Uber and go. It's because driving yourself right now is very difficult because of the limited space that they have. Now, whose fault is that? I could spend the next 20 minutes talking about that, but it was just a situation where they planned and they really wanted to put it in on this site, and they put it there despite the fact they didn't have a very good parking plan to go along with it. And they knew it at the time. They thought there were ways they could work around it. And if you talk to them, which we have over at Fox 17, right now they are convinced that once the construction is finished over there on some of the high rises and things like that that they're working on, that will free up more space for more parking. But right now, while they're building up over there with the neighborhood, it's just going to be limited for the time being.
You think that,
well, I didn't mean leave everybody stunned. I mean, I'm just,
Here's the other part. The whole Uber, if I'm pretty sure I've seen people getting dropped off and picked. Like, you're not that close, unless I'm missing other areas.
Well, listen,
you're not getting close, any closer than where you're having to park, I guess is what I'm getting at.
As two men over the age of 40.
They're not pulling up to the stadium and going, okay, here you are.
Far has a difference. Devlin is a younger man. His definition of far for walk is probably a little different than me and yours, Darren. I'm just guessing. He might be willing to hoof it a little bit further and then get there and say, oh, wasn't that bad? Where you and me might hoof it and say, what in the world is that? We're never doing this again. So it depends on who you ask as far as how far the walk is.
Well, Nate is a young demo. He's in his 20s.
Yes.
You're saying he should be able to.
Young family.
You should be able to. You're saying he should be able to just put on his.
I'm not saying what he should be able to do.
Do it.
I'm just saying that his definition of far may be different than ours. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm the one who's been to games. He hasn't.
Well, I'm gonna go park at 100 Oaks next time and walk to the stadium and let them know what happened.
Well, you can swing by the station too. You can wave at us.
100 Oaks.
Yeah, have a good afternoon, guys.
Thank you, Nate.
Honestly, when was it? Late last year. In fact, it may have been their last regular season game. Fam went, and we were going to park here. And
hoof it from here?
Yeah, and I was like, we got here, and I was like, no.
Probably like 20, 25 minutes from here?
Nah, we're not doing this. Like, this was... No, that's not happening.
No, it's not safe
either. It would look like a good idea on paper.
No.
And then when we got here, I was like, no.
You don't want to be walking down Nolensville after sunset. Not if you don't have to.
Bad idea.
Not for a long distance anyway.
All right, that's going to do it for hour number 1. We'll come back. By the way, Steve Lehman in about 15 minutes. We'll talk all things local with him. More of the McFarland Show next.
On air and online, Sports Radio WNSR, Brentwood, Nashville.
ABC News, I'm Rena Roy. A new plan to forgive up to $20,000 in federal student loan debt at the center of arguments at the Supreme Court. 6 Republican-led states trying to block the Biden administration relief program. ABC's Devin Dwyer says justices' questions offer some insight.
It does seem like they're ready to take this up on the merits, and on that question, it's not looking good for the Biden administration, though we heard from the Solicitor General a very, very vigorous argument. She was relentless defending this plan, the authority for this plan, and the need for this plan as students get crushed by student loan debt.
A decision isn't expected until summer. More outreach in Ohio following the chemical train derailment earlier this month. The head of the EPA pledging his agency, along with the CDC and FEMA, will be there for the long haul to ensure the cleanup is done properly. President Biden is in Virginia, where he'll deliver remarks touting efforts and programs aimed at protecting health care access. This is ABC News.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer, unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
Nashville's first curling venue is here at T-Line Nashville. Come check out T-Line Nashville and experience the world's fastest growing winter sport today. Curling is a fun and simple sport that's a perfect outing for friends, corporate events, families, or parties. T-Line also has classic bowling and modern bowling mini games. With over 20 HD TVs, you can come watch your favorite teams and some of the best food and drinks here in Nashville in the large bar and grill area. They also have an outdoor area with a fire pit, and you can't forget the live music. T-Line Nashville is a one-stop shop for a great night out. Located at 106 Duluth Avenue and online at tlinenash.com. You can book your party now or give them a call at 615-439-1024. That's 615-439-1024. And make sure you give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook at T-Line Nash for all the news, events, and updates. T-Line Nashville. Nashville's first curling venue is here.
Listen, you can't handle the truth. It's about to go off. Live from the WNSR Strike and Spare studios.
Just a bit outside.
Now back to the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Show me the money!
Call now at 615-844-5600.
Oh, righty there.
Now the McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
Second hour on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great day to this point. We are. Hour to go. About 10 minutes. We'll check in with Steve Lehman, News Channel 5. Darren and Justin here with you. Strike and Spare Family Fun Center Studio. Devlin is alongside for the ride. We have Vandy baseball again today, Devlin. Yep, 4:15. 4:15 pregame. First pitch at 4:30. So keep that in mind. Johnny tweets at us, the first round in the Eastern Conference is going to be a bloodbath, guys. 2 of the 4.
Okay.
Tampa versus Toronto. New Jersey versus the Rangers. If that were to happen, 2 of those teams are going home in round 1. It is true. That's why I told you that it stinks that the Preds are in this situation, right?
Yeah.
And look, they're not out of it. But it stinks that they're not in a better state, I guess, their roster, right?
Yeah.
Like this year they weren't loaded or, well, I mean, I don't know. They weren't. However you view this team, they were playing better, okay? Whether you view it as underachieving or they just weren't good enough, whatever. Because the Western Conference is weak. It is weak. Compared to the East, it is weak.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eastern Conference, I agree with Johnny. It is going to be a bloodbath.
Well, does that mean
only one of those teams is coming out, as we know, and there's a whole lot of teams deserving.
So does this automatically mean, in your opinion, whoever comes out of the East is just going to be, or whoever comes out of the West in this case, is just going to be a speed bump on the way to the Stanley Cup for whomever, presumably Boston, coming out of the East?
That's the thing, though. You say Boston, and I get it, but they're all the best teams. So, as we talked about yesterday, you would think, well, the way the Predators carved up everybody the year after the 17-18 season, they all start running together. You would think, well, but guess what? Winnipeg was the second best team in the league. And so they had to meet in the second round. The point is, you start beating each other. You got all these good teams.
But they weren't Boston good. They weren't on this historic pace like Boston's on.
No. True. That is true.
And taking nothing away from that team. But they weren't 46-8-5 with 23 games left.
Yeah, no, I understand, but there's every round. I mean, what's going to be the casualties from winning every round right in the East, right?
It's a grind.
The bodies.
It's a grind, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's going to be murderer's row all the way to the end.
Yeah, because you got to win 12 games just to get to the finals here. Yeah.
So, I understand Boston will be the favorite, but I don't know if they're coming out of the East. Who knows?
Okay, I mean,
there's a lot of good teams in the East.
I
think it's going to be crazy.
Okay. I mean, I can see that. Carolina and Toronto, I'll tell you what. They've been waiting a long time in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. Look, I hate to say this, and I hate to keep using this example, I know, because it gets people mad. I get it. But it's Toronto's in Rick Barnes territory, right? It's like, yeah, that's great. You're getting the playoffs. But you hey, let us know when you make your run in the playoffs.
I mean, I'm looking it up because I don't remember
I think the last time they were in the Stanley Cup final was here's my answer. I think it's 62. You look it up. I'm going to go with 1962.
I'm looking it up here right now. I see the
last time they were in the Stanley Cup.
The last time they were in the finals.
Yeah, I would say I'm going in the 60s.
All right, so let's see. It gives all the Western Conference the championships. But when's the last time they were actually in the finals? Come on, you. Come on, this shouldn't be that hard to pull up now. So the Maple Leafs here have been.
Now remember, this is a market that eats, breathes, sleeps Leafs hockey. They can't get enough of it. It's 24/7. It's Walmart, man. The door is never shut on conversations about that franchise.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. Year-round, not just in season. Year-round.
Not just in season.
And it's been, what, 50 years?
It's been close to that. Let's see. We're rolling back through the 60s. Here we are. They won the Stanley Cup. And that was it. Okay. So their last Stanley Cup appearance
would have been 67.
1967 when they won the whole thing. So they have not been able to get back to the finals since then. It's been conference semis and first rounds and
a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. Conference finals in 2002. And that's been it. That's the closest they've gotten. They got to the conference finals in 2002. But other than that, it's been 1967.
Been lean. It's been lean.
Since they actually won.
Think about that.
The Stanley Cup.
And a market that's all, I mean, think about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to feel
they're crazy now for them.
Yeah. So, okay. To what you said, I'll have to see it.
Yeah, well.
I won't believe it until I see it because I know what they do when they get to the playoffs. They exit early.
Yeah.
And they lose their minds up in Toronto.
They've had 2 World Series championships and
an
NBA championship in Toronto.
Since the Leafs won.
Since the Leafs. And by the way, when the Leafs...
What about their soccer, their MLS team?
When the Leafs won that cup in 1967, the other 2 franchises we just mentioned didn't even exist. There were no Toronto Blue Jays, and there certainly weren't any Toronto Raptors.
And there wasn't an MLS team
rolling around in 1967.
Has the MLS team won? Can you imagine if it's
I haven't looked that up. I don't think so. I haven't heard that, but we can find out.
Well,
here.
I know they've been good.
Well, how good? I don't know if they've been that good here. Founded in 2005, they have not won a championship that I've seen here.
Boy, they would officially be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They had an NBA championship, 2 World Series rings, and an MLS Cup.
Let's see, and they are 8-time winners, runners-up, and wait a minute, did they win the cup in 16 and 19? I think they did. They may have won the cup in 16 and 19.
I think they've been good.
Okay, I'm not up on my MLS championship cup like that, but I believe they did win the whole thing in 2016 and 19.
You talking about that? That's pressure in that market. Whew.
Man,
whew.
That's rough stuff.
Those franchises up there have been doing parades.
Except for you.
They go out in the first round.
Except for you. You've got nothing. You've been nowhere. You get nothing. Good day, sir. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there they go. They beat the Seattle Sounders in the 2019. They sure did. Won the cup.
I don't mean to laugh, but
Toronto
it does
FC.
make me laugh.
Toronto FC.
I don't know how we got down that rabbit hole, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the Kane deal is done. Patrick Kane to the Rangers. Marcus Johansson goes from the Capitals to the Wild. So, the trade, it's going to be a crazy week in the NHL. More trades to come for sure. We'll come back, switch gears, talk with Steve Lehman. In fact, he was there yesterday at the press conference on the floor of Bridgestone Arena. We'll talk to him next here on the McFarland Show, Nashville Sports Radio.
Slim's Tender Mac Bowls are back. We start with a 3-cheese blend to make our delicious mac and top it with chopped hand-breaded tenders and Colby Jack cheese. Try the Tender Mac Bowl meal or the Buffalo Tender Mac Bowl meal, both served with Texas toast and a medium drink. But hurry, they're only around for a limited time. Download the Slim Chickens app to order and earn rewards.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions, not available in all areas. Hey, small business owner, when's the last time you checked your workers' comp rate? For many small businesses, workers' comp insurance is one of their biggest costs. But some don't check their rate often. Did you know rates can vary? In fact, taking 3 minutes to check your rate with Pi Insurance could save you up to 30%. Just go to iwantpi.com, share a few details about your business, and get a quote that's customized for you with no hassle or hidden fees. We know you're busy, but spending just a few minutes to check your rate could save you money. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote at iwantpi.com. That's iwantpie.com.
I'm here at the Big Game headquarters. Total Wine and More, scoring huge savings on the perfect bourbon. Local craft beer.
Forgetting something?
Oh, yeah. Cabernet, seltzers, and so many low prices.
Valentine's Day is right after.
Whoa, new game plan.
You got this. Total Wine can help you score the perfect bubbly, too.
Thank you. I would have been so...
You sure would have.
Your Big Game headquarters. Love what you find, always at the lowest price. Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
And now, Habit Inspected Property Solutions is reminding Americans to show support to the brave men and women who serve our U.S. military. This message is brought to you by veteran-owned and operated Habit Inspected Property Solutions. For residential home inspections, radon and air quality testing, or mold and thermal imaging, give the pros a call today at 615-527-8113. That's 615-527-8113. Habit Inspected Property Solutions, proudly saluting our troops and veterans. They're professionals who care.
It's a Bill King Show.
If Nick coached another 7-8 years, I would not be shocked at all. I wouldn't be. Now, I'm not predicting it because I don't think you can predict that kind of thing. We don't know that. If he coached to 80, I would not be flabbergasted.
Weekday mornings beginning at 6 on Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM.
Give us a call, 615-844-5600. The McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
Let's check in with Steve Lehman, News Channel 5. Steve, how you doing?
Good, guys. How are you? Beautiful day out there.
Man, it is fantastic, isn't it? If we had a retractable roof here, we
great.
It'd be open right now. It would.
I will tell you I'm not at the pool this week, so, you don't have to be too jealous.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a busy week, right? Probably no pool time this week.
Yeah, no pool time this week. There's a lot going on.
You were there yesterday. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was well done. I think that it's great to see Barry Trotz back in Smashville. It sort of feels right for him to be there. I'm a big Barry Trotz fan. I'm certainly eager to watch him in this new role. So I think all that's great. I think there's a lot to celebrate about David Poile. I think the big question going forward is how prepared is Barry Trotz to step away from the bench and to be a manager in the National Hockey League as opposed to a coach? Because they're very different roles. You can be a smart hockey person, but maybe not step into that role immediately and feel like you have a great grasp on everything. I think that's one question. How prepared is he for it? And then number two, with his experiences elsewhere and what he did in Washington and then what he did with the Islanders, does he come back with a little different philosophy, or how much is he completely aligned? Because, and Darren, you would know this better than I do because you covered them from the beginning all the way through those 15 years. But my impression was that David Poile and Barry Trotz were almost the same people in terms of what they viewed the Nashville Predators and how it needed to look on the ice. And that's why it was such a good marriage for such a long time at the beginning. But I think there's a lot of Predators fans out there right now that want to see something different. They want a little bit more juice. They want a little bit different style on the ice than what we've seen the last couple of years from the Predators. Is Barry Trotz enough different than what David Poile has been doing or kind of building this team out to be when he comes back now? I think that's the big question.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And it'll be very interesting to see how all this plays out because it seems like Barry has been involved in these trades. What else will the Predators do? And, you know, we talked about this yesterday, and I'll ask you the same question, Steve. Like, what do you think is, you know, what do you think John Hines is thinking right now? And then, you know, with more moves possibly to come, you know, do you think Barry has a good idea of how he'll address that? I think, you know, that's going to be an end of the season thing. I think at this point, you know, nothing would happen, you know, in the next week or so. I think this is going to be after the year is up. Do you think Barry knows today what he wants to do with the head coach position, or do you think he wants to wait and see all this play out, you know, get to know him, see, you know, what he's about, go to practices, go on some road trips, which he'll do? What do you think?
My guess, Darren, is that he wants to watch this play out and see how it finishes. I mean, for one, the Predators aren't completely out of it.
No, they're not.
I would say it's a long shot, but look, they've just won 3 games in a row. If they win tonight and if they go on this road trip and play well, who knows where they might end up being? And if they somehow find their way into the playoffs, it's hard for me to imagine the Predators walking away from John Hines after a finish to the season like that. So I would think that he wants to come in and watch how things play out. But at the same time, I just don't know. John Hines isn't his guy. That's for sure. And so as he walks in, based off of what he sees, is it possible he makes a move? I certainly think that that's possible. But I imagine that is a decision that he will make once the season is over, once they start talking about the summer and the plans for next season, and not necessarily have made up in his mind right now. But it will be very interesting to see how much of a change comes this summer. And the other part of it, if I've got this correct, and I'm pretty sure I do, David Poile is going to be there through the draft. And so as they have all these draft selections here in the Nashville draft this summer, David Poile is still going to be in that room. Now, will Barry Trotz be right there too, and maybe just as much pulling the lever as David Poile will be on those final couple of days? That may be the case, but it's going to be interesting how much he gets involved before July 1st and that actual date that he officially becomes the general manager.
Before we move on to the Titans, I will say this, Steve, and I feel this. Nothing's going to change. I'm just going to go on and say it now because I will feel this way at the end of June when the draft is here. I don't think there's any doubt. The draft being in this city, in that arena, they're going to make a splash. Something big. There will be a kaboom trade. I really feel that will happen. They will make noise over those 2 days the draft is here, in my opinion.
I think there's a great chance of that, and they're certainly compiling the assets to do it, right? I mean, they've got the picks. They've got 11 picks this summer. I mean, that's a bit of a splash right there in its own right. But can you package some of those together to move up and do something really special in the draft? Perhaps. Now you've got 2 first-round picks in 2025. Can you move one of those and do something earlier in the draft this summer? Perhaps. And that's the other thing. And Barry Trotz kind of hinted at this. I'm not sure if you were around yesterday when I talked to him about this, and I sort of said, Barry, as you look at it, as you've gotten more involved here in the last couple of weeks, how far do you think this team is away? And he said, it's not fair to answer that question right now. But the other thing he said is, it's a very fluid situation. And he pointed to the New York Rangers, who decided that they were going to rebuild, and then lo and behold got the first and second pick in the draft, and the rebuild was over. You know, they were basically right back in contention of things almost immediately after signing Panarin. And he said, things are fluid like that. And so whatever we decide, whatever direction it goes, I'm not going to put a timetable on it or a time frame, because it's always different in terms of your circumstances and what comes your way. And while I believe that, I have to think you're right. With the timing of the draft this summer, and finally the Predators looking like they're saying it is time to reboot the thing. Maybe not a full rebuild. David Poile still wants to say reset. But they're rebooting the program here at the moment. And with the draft coming this summer, it certainly seems like a time they would want to make a splash.
Yep. There'll be people trying to make a splash for a week up in Indianapolis as the combines are underway, or at least today is a lot of talking. Mike Vrabel, I guess, is going to speak here this after.
He's already spoken.
Did he speak? Okay,
yep,
so
just started.
Okay, so Mike Vrabel speaking. You had new GM Rand Carthon spoke earlier today, a couple hours ago. I think Tim Kelly. So all the coaches and new GM. What do you think the Titans? Look, there's a lot of things they have to address, but what do you think ultimately they're going up there this week to try to accomplish?
I think a lot of things. I think they realize, and Mike Vrabel sort of said as much early on in his comments today, that there's a lot of positions they've got to address. They've got to find better football players all around the roster. This isn't about one quarterback or, I'm going to try and quote him now, one running back. I don't think anybody thinks they're replacing Derrick Henry, but this isn't about finding one guy to get you over the top. This is a Titans team that lost their final 7 games and didn't go to the playoffs. And they've got to fix a lot of things. They've got to fix the offensive line. They've got to find more weapons at wide receiver. They've got to address some positions on defense, especially if they decide to move away from Bud Dupree. There are issues that they've got to upgrade. And so I think they go up there with a very open mind, looking to try and find the best football players and the guys who fit what they want to do the best as they start moving into the offseason, which may help them in free agency when that starts in a couple of weeks in terms of what they're going to try and identify and pay for right now versus what they then think they can draft at the end of April. I think that's going to be very important for them here. And the emphasis seems to be clear. They want guys with speed, they want guys who are physical, and they want guys who can do more than one thing. I think the goal for Mike Vrabel, at least, is to get away from the offensive system in which you have a running tight end or a pass-catching tight end or receivers that are particularly good at blocking in the physical part of the game but not necessarily an every-down catching wide receiver, and vice versa. I think he believes that they've telegraphed with personnel too much in recent years, and they want to get themselves in a position where they can be more versatile regardless of the people on the field and the personnel that they're using. And so I think they go up there with a very open mind, just simply trying to find the best football players to sort of overhaul this roster and make them more competitive next year.
What do you make of Rand Cawthorn's comments about Ryan Tannehill, that he is under contract and will be a Titan next year?
I believe him because of all the things I've told you guys for the last several weeks, maybe even months at this point, is yes, you could part ways with Ryan Tannehill and you could save some money in that situation. But what's your alternative? What are you doing? I mean, are you bringing in Derek Carr as a free agent, and do you think that's somehow an upgrade? And are you going to sign him for 1 year and reevaluate next year? And if that's the case, why don't you ride out Tannehill's contract? Or are you going to draft a quarterback and sort of hinge the hopes of the future of the franchise on a rookie QB without satisfying your needs up front on the offensive line and what could be a completely new-looking offensive line next year? To me, it just screams that this team has so many other needs and holes that they've got to figure out, that you have a quarterback there that's been pretty adept at dealing with a bad offensive line. He's shown himself to be pretty durable until he literally couldn't walk at the end of this season, to go out there and get you through next season. And will he be great? Will he light the world on fire? I don't know. I don't know what's going to be around him or what's going to be in front of him. But I think he can get you through next season as you try to build this roster up. And if you do an exceptional job of building, I think he's a good enough quarterback to help you win the division and get you back to the playoffs. If you don't, then you realize sort of where you're at next year, and you can finish the rebuilding process while making your decision about quarterback for the future. So when Rand Carthon says Ryan Tannehill's under contract and he will be a Titan, I believe him.
Do you think they'll add another quarterback to the roster, the actual roster, or is it the Malik and Tannehill show one more time?
I think there will definitely be another quarterback working with them in the offseason.
The camp,
Dobbs,
sure, yeah.
Whether that's Josh Dobbs again, whether that's somebody out there, whether it's an undrafted free agent college quarterback, I don't know the answer to that. But I do think there will be some competition there. And I don't think it's an absolute given that Malik Willis is here next year. I mean, he did nothing for me this past year that screams to me like he's a guy that can just flip the switch and be a totally different quarterback this year. And if that's the case, especially if you're worried about the offensive line and maybe the ability for Tannehill to get through 17 games, I don't know if the Titans want to be planning on having 3 or 4 games again next year, perhaps, with Malik Willis having to be the starting quarterback. And so I think the room will be crowded as they go into the summer and into fall camp, and I think there could be a competition. But to me, the competition's probably for that second QB spot and not for number 1.
All right, Steve, it's clear that when it comes to the draft pick, if they stay at 11, the top 2 choices for me is either left tackle or wide receiver. I'm leaning towards wide receiver, and I'm going to stay with that unless something dramatic changes. What is the third position that could go number 1 for the Titans in this upcoming draft?
First off, I think you're right, Justin. I think those are the 2 most likely options, and I would go with whoever is the best player on the board, because too often this franchise in the last few years has taken first-round draft picks that I think are a bit of a flyer, whether it's medical issues in their past or just a total dud of a pick in Isaiah Wilson. I think you've got to find the guy that between the wide receiver and tackle position you are absolutely positive is your starting left tackle or number 1 or 2 wide receiver on day 1 next fall. So I think it's likely that if I was going to go to another position, I would probably say pass rusher, and that would be most likely contingent on a decision coming on Bud Dupree. And Rand Carthon was non-committal there today. He said that he's still evaluating and trying to figure it out, and obviously he's got time because he can go till June 1st or even after with the Bud Dupree decision. And I think I've told you guys this before as well. With Dupree and his health, I think you can take all the time you want to try to make this decision, because when Dupree was healthy and right, which maybe we've only seen sort of December of 21 into that playoff game against Cincinnati, he was a beast out there for the Titans. I mean, he was incredibly important and changed the dynamic of this defense. And if you think there's any shot he can get back to that and be healthy next year, opposite a healthy Harold Landry, that's worth paying for. And that's worth keeping around. And I don't know if you can do better than that in the draft. But if you have real concerns, then there's reason to be concerned based off of what we saw last year, then it's probably not worth the price tag. And so, again, I think Rand Carthon's wise to take his time there, but the ultimate decision there, especially if he can know it by the end of April, may lead him to opt to go for a pass rusher if he likes what he sees there at that position.
This time a few years ago, we would have all been sitting around talking about a young quarterback out of Oregon who could be the next great NFL quarterback, or perhaps the quarterback out of Florida State who could be the next great NFL quarterback. Who do you go? What do you do? Winston versus Marcus Mariota. And today, Marcus Mariota is released from his 3rd team in the National Football League. I mean, after everything we've seen here, Steve, and we've seen the whole thing, why didn't it work out here? What was the flag we were supposed to see at Oregon or anywhere else that Marcus Mariota was not a franchise quarterback, or is that just unavoidable in this kind of a process?
Well, you see it sometimes. Just the guys at the top of the draft don't always pan out. Certainly quarterbacks don't always pan out the way you expect. I think there's some to blame for the Chip Kelly offense at Oregon. I mean, they run at an electric pace. He ran the ball very effectively in college, but so often it was open field running. You know, he wasn't taking a beating. He was literally just running by defenses that were fooled or gassed or whatever, you know, adjective you want to use trying to defend a Chip Kelly offense. And in terms of Mariota himself back there as a quarterback, most of the time when he was passing to guys who were very open. And in the NFL, as we know, you've got to be able to throw a guy open from the quarterback position from time to time. And I think we've just seen over the course of his career that Marcus isn't very good at doing that. He's an okay quarterback if it's there to be thrown to. But if you're trying to elevate the guys around you, which we so often talk about, the QB position, and you're trying to create some separation where there is no separation by fitting the ball in there perfectly, he just hasn't shown the ability to do that at this level. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good leader in the locker room. I think he's a good athlete. But I just think it's proven that he is not a starting caliber NFL quarterback. I think he'll be on a roster somewhere next year. I think he provides a change-up potentially like the role he had in Vegas. I think if somebody got hurt, you know, certainly I'd rather have him starting a game than Malik Willis right now. I'm not suggesting he should come back here, by the way. I'm just saying I think he's a solid backup in the league, but I think the days of Marcus Mariota being a starter are probably done.
Okay, I was going to end with the follow-up, but clearly you answered that. Real quick on the way out, what do you think about Luke Steckel? 9 years here, hired as the assistant offensive line coach for the Bears.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, and it adds some intrigue to me about the new offensive staff and what all the titles mean, because I think we've had this discussion about what does it mean when you have not just an offensive coordinator, but a pass game coordinator and a run game coordinator, and then you also have a pass game analyst and a run game analyst. And those two analysts used to be position coaches, but now they're not position coaches anymore. Is that a elevation? Is that a promotion? Or is that a demotion? And it seems to me, reading the tea leaves, I'd be curious if anybody asked Mike Vrabel this in the minutes he spoke up there today in Indy. I'd be curious what he says about that, because it reads to me like Luke Steckel thought it was a demotion, that he was working with the offensive line, then he was working with the tight ends, and now he was just I put in quotes, the run game analyst. And the idea that he could go off to another place and be back as a position coach seemed to be a more intriguing option to me, or to him.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how Pat O'Hara feels. It makes me wonder what the dynamic of the room is. Sounds like Mike Vrabel wants another one of those analysts in that role. So he wants a lot of guys on his staff. He wants a lot of people collaborating, to use that word again, and to have everybody involved and everybody to have a title. And I think he thinks it's good for those guys' promotion and their chances of upward mobility, whether it's in the organization or elsewhere. But it appears right now that Luke Steckel thought his best chance of upward mobility was to leave and go take an offensive line job in Chicago and move out of the run game analyst job here.
An assistant offensive line job.
Yeah.
It is. Mike Vrabel's come a long way as a head coach. Now he is all about titles, where before he was like, what's the big deal about titles? What's the big deal about it? Big deal.
Titles mean
now
nothing.
everybody
Now they
gets
mean
titles.
everything.
You get a title. You get a title. You in the back, you get a title. Or 2 years ago, he's like, what's the big deal about titles? Just saying.
That's exactly right. Darren, you are radio show coordinator for the afternoon.
There you go.
Justin, you are radio show analyst.
Thank you.
You still host. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Steve, appreciate it as always. By the way, John Burton is up in Indy, so you guys will have coverage tonight?
He is in Indy, so hopefully that means I have less work to do tonight.
All right, so check out News Channel 5. Steve will be hosting, and John Burton will be an analyst up in Indianapolis.
You haven't heard anything until you've heard those phone calls between, like, you got what? Well, did you get this? Well, why not? I got to do that? Well, that wasn't – never mind. I'm sorry.
Steve, appreciate it. Have a good day.
Conversations today. See you guys.
Steve Lehman, News Channel 5. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of the McFarland Show on the other side. By the way, we'll welcome your phone calls the rest of the way as well. 615-844-5600.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
When you're away from home and you want down-home cooking, Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel is the answer. Excellent, fresh, and local, just like Grandma used to make. Start your day with a Music City omelet and some prime rib hash, or a cast iron waffle with Nashville hot chicken. For those wanting variety, hit the biggest breakfast buffet in Music City. And of course, the world-famous Biscuit Bar. Start your day with the fresh, local, and down-home cooking of Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown.
At Total Wine & More, save big on what you love this month with hundreds of deals. Get up to 35% off over 100 different wines and spirits, including Cabernet, sparkling wine, single barrel bourbon, and so much more. These savings are huge, and even better, they're on top of prices that are already the lowest in town. Deals this good don't last long, so visit Total Wine & More to find yours. Love what you find at the lowest price, only at Total Wine & More. Drink responsibly, B21.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Paid for by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
This is the Greg Pogue and John Burton Show.
The Grizzlies are a fun team. They're a really good team. They're playing extremely well. The Grizzlies have a reputation of getting under a lot of people's skin because they are a cocky, mouthy team. They're good. They back it up.
But somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to be the heel of the NBA, and probably they're the heel right now.
And I think they enjoy that role.
Greg Pogue and News Channel 5's John Burton, WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
You're listening to The McFarland Show live on WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
Well, to add to the Toronto misery, Bill tweets at us.
Yeah?
Don't forget about those Toronto Argonauts.
Ah, the CFL.
They may have won some championships, too, while the Leafs are waiting for one. Yeah, I looked it up, Bill. They've won 10.
Yeah?
Since 1967.
They're pretty good.
By the way, they won it last season.
Yeah.
The Grey Cup.
The Grey Cup, yeah.
Yeah.
The Grey Cup CFL championship.
So they won it twice, 10 times.
Yeah.
Ouch. Man.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I mean,
no wonder they're a mess up
well, there. At least you can't say they haven't had championships there in the city. They just haven't had the championship they wanted. You know, they've gotten other chips, but they haven't had the chip. The typical Toronto fan, they would trade all the chips, the Blue Jays chips, the MLS chips, the CFL chips, the NBA chip, Drake, give it all back, if you can give us one Stanley Cup here recently.
They would trade in a lot of things. They'd probably trade in the CN Tower.
Yeah.
They trade in a lot.
Sky Dome.
Take
it all back. Take it.
Take it.
Everything's short of maple syrup.
Clearinghouse sale.
Yeah.
Everything must go for Lord Stanley Cup.
Man, oh man.
So thank you, Bill, for tweeting that at me. I forgot about the
Argonauts.
pesky CFL team up
Yeah.
there. That's won 10 Grey Cups. All right, do we have any audio, or did the NFL forget to pack up the microphones and take them to Indy?
They have a microphone. It's just not a very strong microphone.
Oh.
So it would take some doctoring to get that ready to go for us, which it's tough to do on short notice.
So you don't hear any questions. You just hear answers.
You barely hear the answers.
Oh, you barely hear the answers.
And you don't hear any questions at all.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
So that's where we are with that. So, again, we would have to do some things to get that audio ready for us.
But that doesn't sound like today.
It would take a few minutes.
Yeah.
You can't tell. I'm not saying it's impossible. It would just take a few minutes.
Well, good thing our combine coverage isn't, sponsored.
That would be problematic here today. Even though there's a couple of names out there that have been released today by other teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have released Leonard Fournette, running back from LSU, who was rivaled. A lot of people thought he and Derrick Henry were the best two running backs out of that particular draft class. Of course, both of them played in the SEC. Both of them played each other in a couple of clashes. People thought at the time that Leonard Fournette was more NFL ready than Derrick Henry was. And there may have been some truth to that, to be honest. It took Derrick Henry a little while to kick in.
Hard to tell. They traded for DeMarco Murray, so he didn't really get much of a chance early on.
That argument can be made as well.
Well, remember, he was the AFC rushing champ the first year. DeMarco Murray, when he came here,
DeMarco Murray
he led the
okay,
AFC in rushing.
Yes,
so,
yes.
He was productive. Is
yes,
what I'm getting
at. Very.
So those 2 seasons, he was productive, and Derrick Henry didn't see the field much.
Yeah,
so
didn't
see
a lot of action.
And remember, when we did see him, a lot of people were questioning, including Eddie George, who had a talk with him, right? Now, I don't know if that was truly the conversation that the light bulb went on.
He said,
but
both of them claim it was. Eddie claims it was. Derrick Henry's been on record saying that it was.
Yeah.
So,
but we weren't even sure at that time.
Oh, no.
If Derrick Henry was, can he be an every down? Is he like just an 8 to 10 carries a game kind of guy? What is he?
Listen, there was a guy named David Fluellen who was, if he had stayed healthy there, was real close.
He was on the People's Court, right?
No, not that. That's Doug Llewellyn.
Oh, that was Doug Llewellyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
different guy.
Different guy. This was a backup running back for the Titans when they were searching for somebody. And a lot of people thought, because he had been a camp guy, and a lot of people thought that he hurt his knee, and Derrick Henry was able to get back in the running at that point. But anyway, Leonard Fournette is where I started with all
Can
this.
a lot of people tell that you play court shows on Fox? I mean, you were on it.
Yeah, well,
you were
I
on
watched
the
a lot of
People's
court. I
Court
watched a lot
reference.
of court shows growing up. So Doug Llewellyn, Doug Llewellyn was the guy I watched quite a bit.
Who, Doug or David?
No,
or
not
both?
David. No,
Or both?
Doug.
Okay.
Doug, the court reporter.
The court
for
reporter
the People's Courts.
But you did see David Fluellen. Run.
Yes, running the football for the Titans, which are two very different people. Judge Wapner was not involved in the decision with the Titans running back. He was involved with Doug Llewellyn, who worked for People's Court. Leonard Fournette's where all this started, coming out of LSU. Going to Jacksonville.
Who is he? Oh, he's a running back.
He was running back. Went to Jacksonville, then went to Tampa, and then today got released.
Yeah.
And then the other big name, of notable name anyway, I'm not going to say big, is Galloway there out of the Giants.
Kenny Galladay.
Kenny Galladay.
Galladay.
Not to be confused with Joey Galloway. Kenny Galladay is a wide receiver of a different kind. He plays for he played for the Giants. Missed a lot of time this year, and looks to be kind of on the backside here.
I think That's because I know people immediately. Galladay with the Titans.
That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up because this is the time of year
where everybody
when
who's
these
released
names starts popping up.
I know.
And some of these guys are former Pro Bowl caliber guys not that long ago, and people start plugging in names. So, I'm just putting it out here. These guys are out here. Start filling out your fantasy football roster, your Titans mock draft right now.
Just to show you how difficult the draft is and how inexact that science is.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa had the first pick in the draft. The Titans had the second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And both picks were average. If you were on a scale of 1 to 10, you'd give them a 5.
Not rousing successes,
ones,
but they weren't complete total failures.
They weren't 1s or 2s, but they weren't 9s or 10s.
No.
It was about a 5.
They did okay.
A 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
And truth be known, if Marcus Mariota would have went to Tampa and if Jameis Winston would have came here, I don't know if
anything changes.
Anything changes at all.
I agree.
And in those situations. With where they were with their coaching and GM staff and the teams around them at the time, I'm not sure if anything changes at all, honestly.
Well, Winston would have probably thrown less picks here because they don't throw as much.
They don't throw the ball as much.
Yeah.
But, he couldn't be full-blown the best version of himself in this kind of an offense anyway. No. I think he'd have been frustrated here and a whole lot of other things.
Well, remember, he led the league in touchdown passes.
And interceptions.
In the same season.
Yeah. So there's some talent there, and then there is some not talent all at the same time. Very mixed bag with Jameis Winston. And really, it's a mixed bag with Marcus Mariota, too. It's just a different kind of a mixed bag that you're getting with him.
Well, why wouldn't it be a mixed bag? Of course it is. I mean, really, his was just about his record. Like, he didn't dazzle you. I didn't think, Winston really only dazzled you with yards and touchdowns. Slinging the ball around the yard.
Yeah.
He didn't dazzle you in the interception department. He didn't dazzle you with his record because they were just a 500 team with him.
No.
And Mariota didn't dazzle you with stats.
No.
He just dazzled you with his legs and the success that they had under him.
The late game stuff, I thought he was very good. The 2-minute late drive up the field, I thought he was at times he was really good at that.
Yep.
But then again, that was more akin to what he did at Oregon when they were doing that. The hurry up, kind of offense. He excelled at that. It was always shotgun. He could see the whole field, no huddle kind of a thing. That's where it was clear. That's where he was most comfortable. And that's not the NFL full time. That's Chip Kelly in Oregon, but it can't be certainly not Mike Mularkey and Mike Vrabel full time in the NFL. And, it just doesn't work that way.
I don't think when you ask that question to Steve, there's nothing anybody could have done because the reality is neither one of them are just good enough for the league to be starters. They're just not.
Which is what's hard.
They're just backup guys.
Because I understand there's probably going to be some disappointment out there for Titans fans at the thought of bringing Ryan Tannehill back for another year. The issue is, if you release Ryan Tannehill or trade Ryan Tannehill, whatever you want to do with Ryan Tannehill, then what are you doing at quarterback? Well, yeah, you can go draft a guy. Well, there's no guarantee that any of the guys you can go draft are going to be any good. Ask the Buccaneers and the Titans of old about the two guys they thought, which, by the way, got all the pub you could possibly want. It was everywhere.
Don't forget the NFL even did them a favor. What did they do the first week of the season?
Put them against each other. Yeah.
That wasn't my accident.
No, they wanted to showcase these two young guns, 1 and 2 quarterback, and everybody knew they were going 1 and 2. It was very similar to the Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning situation.
Wasn't sure who was going to go 1 and who was going to go 2.
They knew that they were going to go 1 and 2. They didn't know which one was going to go 1 and 2. And this time it looked like it didn't matter. But everybody used that as a backdrop, thinking, well, one of these guys could be a future Hall of Famer, and the other one could be a bust. Well, it doesn't always go like that, and it didn't go like that in this situation. Both of the guys are part-time starters, part-time backups in the National Football League. Yep. Nothing wrong with that. Huge success in college, Heisman Trophy winners, the whole nine, national championship. Huge success. Just not the right offensive system, not the right quarterbacks for this level of football. No shame in it, just what it turned into.
Yeah. Mariota I was amazed at even – the short passes, like how much at times he struggled. Just short passes, little, 8-yard pass. He, overshoot. His passing was left to be desired. Just not good enough.
A lot of the things just became mysteries.
He couldn't make the throws.
No,
he just couldn't.
And he wasn't healthy at
Winston
key points.
Could, but then he could also make throws, as we've already discussed, to the other team a lot.
Yeah, but
that's
that gunslinger. Exactly.
Yeah, he forced
that's that gunslinger mentality, though.
Yeah.
That's who he was at Florida State, too.
Of course.
It's not like he got to the league and became somebody brand new. Nah, he was throwing the ball like that at Florida State, just with rousing success on a lower level of football. In the ACC, and the NFL. Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, we'll come back, wrap up Tuesday's edition of the McFarland Show. We'll do that next.
Brad Fowler, Century 21 Wright Realty, is reminding motorists to slow down on our roadways, keep an eye out for kids at play, and never text and drive. Brad Fowler, Century 21 Wright Realty, is our area's premier and most trusted real estate professional, backed by years of experience. So if you're buying, selling, moving, or improving, give the pros a call today at 615-519-3339. Brad Fowler, Century 21 Wright Realty, a professional who cares.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-529-2856. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-529-2856. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life, call 800-529-2856.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy, fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Tuesday, February 28th for Golf Night and College Night with Western Kentucky University as your Nashville Predators take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Purchase your special event tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/College Nights for a Preds branded golf towel or Preds and Western Kentucky co-branded hat. That's NashvillePredators.com/College Nights. Let's go, Preds.
It's the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
If you were going to hire Tim Kelly, they've been done for over a month. I mean, that would have already been done. This is where you scoured the ends of the earth and you just went in-house because if you look at it, the OCs, they've been coming from within on Mike Vrabel's staff. What happened? What happened?
I mean, I don't know. There could be a lot of different things that happen. I'm not sure.
The McFarland Show with Darren and Justin on Nashville Sports Radio WNSR.
Honest opinions, genuine conversations. The McFarland Show.
Tomorrow in Old Hickory, starting at 10 o'clock, they're going to do a car seat check event. Tennessee Highway Safety Office has partnered with the state and local agencies for a car seat check event. That'll be in Old Hickory. That address will be 4331 Old Hickory Boulevard. Again, starting at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., where you've got an opportunity as parents, guardians, caregivers to participate and receive child passenger safety tips, educational resources, and access to certified technicians. So keep that in mind tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. in Old Hickory.
Very important. Very important.
It is. It absolutely is. Tonight, you've got Tennessee. Little Tennessee, Arkansas action, a little late night. By the way, that thing tips at 9 o'clock in Knoxville.
In Knoxville.
Yeah.
8 o'clock here.
8 o'clock here.
Okay.
I think it's on
ESPN2,
right?
It's on ESPN2. It is.
ESPN2. Yeah.
Tennessee 5.5-point favorite to get that
That's
done.
been going down, by the way. It started,
I
think, at like 7.5. It's been going down. What do you make of that?
You know, I make that they make really big buildings in Las Vegas. That's what I make of it. They build really nice fountains and hotels, and they give away a lot of food. So that's what I make of it.
Okay, they do, and the food's good.
Yes, I haven't been in several years, but yes, from what I recall.
So Arkansas, Tennessee, and Knoxville tonight. Arkansas has been a little bit of a disappointment. I
don't know what the do you know what the expectations were for Arkansas basketball coming into the year?
Their coach is a winner, man. I like him. Musselman's a winner.
Yeah, I mean,
even when he was at Nevada, man, every year they were like a sneaky pick in the NCAA tournament.
So Eric Musselman is who we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I remember him more from the NBA, not from the college days. He was with the Hawks, I believe, and then before that, I felt like he was with another team in the NFL. I want to say it was something like the Kings or someone there in the NBA. He did have some marginal success there. I think he got to the playoffs a few times.
He was don't forget, he was the Golden State Warriors coach.
That's right. There it is.
Sacramento Kings coach.
So it was Sacramento. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't remember him as the Warriors coach. Was that a long time?
That was 2002 to 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Wow.
Actually, he was never the Hawks head coach. He was just an assistant.
He was just a long-time assistant, huh?
Yep.
One of those things. Something else, speaking of the NBA, Grizzlies taking on the Lakers tonight without LeBron James.
That's correct.
LeBron James out for who knows how long.
Hurt his ankle.
Foot injury is what they're calling it.
Yeah, it looked like he hurt his ankle the other night. He played through it, but was obviously in a great deal of pain.
Golden opportunity for the Grizz. Pick up a W.
So keep that in mind. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers in the house, FedEx Forum. Got the Predators here hosting the Penguins.
Yes.
Last game in the month of February. And then tomorrow, Vanderbilt will be in Lexington to take on Kentucky tomorrow night. Maybe we'll get a preview on that.
Okay.
All right, that'll do it for our show. Enjoy this beautiful day. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.